After a heartbreaking loss in game 1, we are moving to game number 2. Praggnanandhaa leads the match 1-0 and opens with 1 e4. Nihal responds back with e5. Knight comes out to f3, knight c6, and we have the Ruy Lopez on the board. Knight attacks the pawn in the center. On e4, Pragg pauses a bit and now castles it out. Bishop comes to e7. And what is Praggnanandhaa going to do next? Will he go rook e1 for the main line? This is main line theory. Pauses a bit and takes delayed exchange variation. Pawn to d3, knight d7. Nihal moving very quickly. He's built extra time on the clock. He has 3 minutes, 2 seconds. He castles it out. And Pragg goes knight d2. f6 strengthening the center. General plans are rook e8, knight f8, knight e6, keeping the knight here, which looks at very good squares in this direction. But Pragg pauses a bit. He's trying to think what is the way in which he can continue. Should he go knight c4? He goes knight h4, freeing his f-pawn to move ahead and break the black center. Nihal plays rook to f7. Ooh, interesting move. He's freeing up the f8 square for either his bishop or the knight. And if Pragg goes knight to f5, he might put his bishop back. That's what he has done. And now Pragg on the offensive plays f4. Nihal simply chops it off. And Pragg is thinking, should I take with the rook or the bishop? He takes with the bishop. Knight comes ahead. And this is now an idea. You can take the knight, but bishop moves back, connecting the rook and the knight. If we look at the position carefully, you will see that white has built up a very nice attacking possibilities here on the king side. Meanwhile, black can boast of the bishop pair. And Nihal also has extra time on the clock, so he can think a bit carefully and continue. He goes knight e6, and Pragg simply tucks his king into the corner. Nihal now takes some space in the center, not allowing the white pawns to advance. It's time now for getting your queen into the attack. Queen g4 or queen h5, then bringing the rook up, the other rook into the game, the rook swinging over. So white's attack is actually going pretty smoothly in this game. It only remains to be seen how is it that Praggnanandhaa is going to execute it. Meanwhile, Nihal looking pretty calm in spite of losing the first game and being 1 point down in the match. He knows that one victory here and he'll be back. Queen comes to g4, threatening knight h6 check. So Nihal quickly moves his king to the corner. And now queen h5 attacking the rook. Very nice, because if g6, there is knight h6 creating a fork here. So very nice tactic there by Praggnanandhaa. He has seen it, and now the rook needs to be defended. But how do you defend the rook? The rook cannot go here. The knight is looking at it. If you go rook d7, it's all quite crammed in. So Nihal goes queen e8. He's defending the rook with his queen. And Pragg brings his queen back so that now there's no pawn fork anymore. And the queen is menacingly placed close to the black king. Now Nihal has to decide what is the next move that he's going to play. Maybe he wants to play g6 and kick the knight away, but g6 comes with its own drawbacks. It weakens the light dark squares. And by the way, Pragg has 1 minute 31 seconds. Nihal has 1 minute 56 seconds. He goes b6. Maybe he wants to get the bishop out from here. That's his idea. Rook moves up the board, and Pragg is saying to Nihal, I am in brutal mood today. I'm coming at your king to checkmate you. What is Nihal Sarin going to do? You can see there he's under pressure. He's put his hands on his ears. He's trying to focus. He's trying to see what plan does he have. Meanwhile, Praggnanandhaa takes out his bottle, drinks water, and that's always a bad news for his opponents, because Pragg has this habit of drinking water when he has a good position or close to winning one. Although clearly this position is not winning. In a blitz game, it's much easier to play as white. And Pragg brings his other rook into the game. So slowly and steadily you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white pieces into the attack against the black king. How is Nihal going to survive this is the question. And that too, his time is also now running low. He's down to 1 minute only. This is not going to be easy, but if there's someone who can extricate himself from such a position, it's Nihal Sarin. He thinks very quickly, he takes bold decisions, he calculates fast, looks at small tactics. But here it feels like the pressure of Pragg's attack is getting to him. There's no way that he might be able to get out of this. Let's see what he does. 40 seconds only left. Nihal, come on, you got to move. You can't be waiting so long. You can see he's under pressure because he's looking at the board, then at the clock, again at the board, again at the clock, and that is already a sign that the player is a bit confused. 20 seconds left. He brings his rook. That's amazing. After thinking for so long, he plays a calm move on the board. Rook to d8. Now, where does white continue? I think Pragg's move is pretty obvious. Move the rook to h3 and try to go for the attack. But if you go rook h3, Nihal will go g6 or g5. That's his idea. What is Pragg thinking about? Sometimes when the opponent slows down, you also tend to slow down, because that's how just the nature of this game is. You are kind of mimicking your opponent many times. And Pragg now also down to 50 seconds. He's also trying to figure out if there's a straightforward way to checkmate Nihal's king, but none exists. He goes rook h3, g6, knight comes in, bishop takes the knight, queen is taking here. Now this is a threat because this pawn is pinned here, so the queen has to move to g8. If you play queen f8, then g6 is hanging. But look at Nihal's time, just 12 seconds. He calmly moves his queen to g8, and now you cannot take this pawn, it's defended. But you can definitely start pressurizing this pawn, like rook f3, move the knight away, bring your bishop to this diagonal, and that would be a massive weakness there. But Nihal maybe is doing okay because he can plonk his knight in the center. Now Pragg down to 20 seconds as well. Knight comes to f3. Suddenly black's position is looking okay because the knight is not so well placed there. Nihal offering a queen trade. Pragg doesn't want to trade the queen. He pushes the pawn. Oh my god, is he losing material? Because if he moves the queen, g4 attacks both the pieces. He moves the queen. Can Nihal play g4? No, if he plays here, rook g3 pins the pawn. So that's not possible. But Nihal Sarin down to 6 seconds. He needs to find another move. He goes rook f8. And what is Pragg doing? Oh, he goes for this plan of bishop c3 and putting the bishop on that long diagonal. h6 played, trying to bolster the pawns. Rook g3. Queen moves away from that file of the rook, and Pragg goes and attacks those pawns. 5 seconds for Pragg, 3 seconds for Nihal. Who's going to keep better control on their nerves? That's the question. Queen e3 played. Both of them playing excellently. No one's blundering. These two are amazing players. Knight goes back to g7. Fantastic chess by Nihal, who has defended everything. Pragg down to last 1 second, perhaps last few seconds. e5 mistake. There's a fork coming in. Pragg has blundered this. He takes on g5, trying to sacrifice and come out of it. But this is not going to work. Rook takes g5. Nihal finds the defense. Rook g7 is played. And Praggnanandhaa has to capture. But now you can see that he's a piece down. Nihal Sarin brings his bishop to e6. Fantastic chess and control on the nerves, and he's managed to trick Praggnanandhaa. But will he manage to keep his cool? Because even in the first game, he was winning and he blundered very badly. We'll see. Queen moves in. Praggnanandhaa attacks the bishop. Nihal defends it. Check. King moves up. Pragg has 7 seconds. You can see Nihal coming forward in the chair, saying to himself, this game, I'm not going to give up in any way. And a3 played by Pragg. Knight moves back. Rooks are offered for trade. Queen takes. And when the bishop comes in, Nihal brings his knight to g4 and offers the queen for trade. This is not going to be... he's not so happy there because he thought he's blundered the pawn, but actually he's managed to defend it. You can see how quickly Nihal's expression changed from sadness to, oh, I have a chance. And now white has only 2 pawns for a piece, which is not enough, but it's not so easy to make progress. a4 played by Nihal, fixing the pawns. Praggnanandhaa wants to exchange as many pawns as possible because that would bring him closer to the draw. But Nihal has a plan now. He's going to switch his king to the king side. His knight is doing a brilliant job of defending the queen side. He brings his bishop, and there you have it. The c4 pawn is the weakness where he's going to put his eye on. g3 played, and Nihal slowly bringing in the king. It's so amazing to see Nihal playing this endgame. It feels like symphony somehow. Bishop d1. He wants to give a check, push the king away, and then bring his king in further. Brilliant chess there. King e4. And now, this is actually worthy of a classical game conversion, but Nihal is doing it in blitz, which is making it even more special. Still, the win is not easy, and there's a lot of work to be done, but Nihal knows that this is not so difficult as well. He brings his king now, defends everything, brings the knight in. This is a weakness. He's going to attack. King goes back, bishop g4, and now bishop comes to e6, c4 pawn is falling. Everything is breaking down there for Praggnanandhaa. The score is going to be 1-0. Bishop h6. He brings his knight back. King b1. And now Nihal is bringing his king into the game. King a1. Oh, maybe Pragg is playing for some kind of stalemate tricks. But you can see that he has only control over the dark squares with his pawns and bishop. And so Nihal is playing on the light squares. And he takes a bit of time because he knows he has 10 seconds. And now first brings his knight in. It's very pretty how he finishes this off. Knight check. King goes back. And with 6, 5, 4, Nihal, don't forget about the time. Bishop a2. What a nice little move. He's trapped the king. And now he's going to bring the bishop in. And now the knight jumping to b3 is a checkmate. And Praggnanandhaa gives up. What a game that was. Both of them look at each other thinking where was the mistake, but the scores are now level 1-1. A brilliant game by Nihal, keeping calm on his nerves.